Welcome to Matters Financial and Geopolitical from a Frontier. Thank you kindly for stopping by. It's a rather wintry day here in Nairobi, I have to admit, but it's rather pleasant. Zimbabwe's official inflation rate rose to 98% in May, the Stats Office just announced. That's from Paul Wallace. And I made the point in January that there is a correlation between high inflation and revolutionary conditions. Africa doesn't need to follow the Asian development model focused on exporting manufactured goods to richer countries. It could become significantly better off simply by producing more of what it consumes at home. Huge potential for growth in intra-African commerce, which currently accounts for just 15% of total African trade. High transport costs means that sub-regional integration is more likely to deliver gains with the East African community, which may soon include the DR Congo leading the way. And this is a valid point which I was making in an interview on Inside Story, which was hosted by Martine Dennis, about the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Airtel Africa expects London IPO to be priced between 80 and 100 pence, raising $749 million at a market cap of £3.01 billion to £3.62 billion. But the point to note is Safaricom's market cap is currently 2.5 times larger than Airtel Africa, and Airtel Africa is in 14 countries. Don't be in a rush to do business in the world's top cobalt producer, says Bloomberg, when a foreign investor with multi-million-dollar projects across Africa was told the president of the DR Congo wanted to see him. He booked a suite at one of the country's top hotels. After 6 days of waiting, he left. Felix Tshisekedi took the helm almost 5 months ago. Private planes jammed the main airport in Kinshasa, and hotel lobbies teem with businessmen and Congolese who've returned from countries such as the US and South Africa with hopes of working with his administration. But it's been slow going. Tshisekedi only appointed a prime minister last month and hasn't yet named a cabinet. Nobody knows what's going on. Congo relies entirely on mining for its exports, one of the most difficult places to get anything done. World Bank ranking it 184th out of 190 countries in its latest Doing Business report, just above South Sudan, but below war-torn Central African Republic. We're looking at a new beginning for Congo, Mundela said. My president is inundated by requests for meetings from investors. You have to vet them to find out who is good and who isn't. With his siblings, Kabila, of course, built a business empire worth hundreds of millions of dollars. In Congo, we have everything the world needs, he said. Congo isn't going to eat its gold, its copper, its cobalt. Congo wants to be transformed so that we can have access to what we need for our people. World Bank says 90% of all business activities in Congo take place below the radar. Public institutions are dysfunctional. Tshisekedi's ability to pass laws will be restrained in the 500-member parliament and the Senate, where Kabila's Common Front for Congo Coalition, or FCC, won overwhelming majorities. On a provincial level, all 26 governors except one are Kabila allies. Felix is a puppet, said Fayulu, 62, in an interview. He was supposed to have won the election. Kabila spent 18 years in power and did nothing for the people. Do you really think Kabila would let Felix Tshisekedi succeed? The DRC is extremely young. Half the population are under 15. That means only 37% of the population is what is normally considered economically active. That's 32 million people out of 86. Overall phone shipments for South Africa dipped 4% to 4.7 million units, according to a market report by International Data Corporation. That's interesting insight. South African all share up 10.35% so far this year. South Africa's second biggest insurer, Old Mutual, said on Friday it had terminated the employment of suspended CEO Peter Moyo. Dollar versus rand, the rand is strengthening today after that big sell-off that took it up to 15.10. According to Egyptian official TV, Morsi suffered a heart attack while in court yesterday, facing the charge of passing intelligence. He was 67 years old and was elected president of Egypt after Mubarak in 2011. He ruled Egypt between two revolts. He was held in solitary confinement for almost 6 years, placing a considerable strain on his mental and physical well-being and violating the absolute prohibition against torture and other ill treatment under international law. There's no way to divorce Morsi's fate from that of the Brotherhood. They were one and the same. He went the way of the Brotherhood. Erdogan, a fierce critic of Morsi's overthrow, described him on Twitter as a martyr. Egyptian pound barely moved. EGX 30 is up 9.25% this year. Smartphone shipments to Nigeria dropped 11.9% to 2.3 million units in the first quarter. Nigerian all shares minus 4.75% this year. Ghana Stock Exchange minus 4.18% this year. The Anadarko business plan is worth $25 billion, twice Mozambique's GDP. Biggest investments ever made in Mozambique. Development plan for Rovuma Basin Area 1 in Cabo Delgado is estimated at $25 billion. Natural gas projects are expected to go into production in about 5 years' time and boost the country's economic growth to more than 10% a year, according to the IMF. Size of the discovery made since 2010 in Area 1 and amounting to 75 trillion cubic feet of gas deposits buried beneath the seabed. 75 followed by 12 zeros. In the neighboring Area 4, the value will reach 85 TCF. Anadarko considers its Area 1 deposits equivalent to twice the gas and oil that is to be exploited in the British North Sea area, and classifies the Rovuma Basin as the second largest hydrocarbon exploration zone in the world. June 2014, when I was visiting Maputo for the Africa Rising IMF conference and optimism was at its peak, I said Mozambique could be the next Qatar, which it still can. This was the poster on that day, Africa Rising. You can see Madame Lagarde. Well, you can't in this photograph. Madame Lagarde was there. It was quite an event. Then, October 2016, Mozambique went from boom to bust with the tuna bond scandal. One day you're the Minister of Finance. This is the Mozambican Minister of Finance, Manuel Chang. And another day you're in the dock. This is a photograph of Maputo from the sea. I'm very bullish about Mozambique. I know they had a big blow-up beforehand, but this is an overwhelming financial story. Dar es Salaam salon owner about the new wig tax in Tanzania. The 25% tax for imported wigs is too expensive for our sisters. They might cut their hair, which could lead to divorces, as the men are used to seeing their wives with long hair. China exports about $3.5 billion of hair product into Africa every year. Carrefour franchise, which has done so well here in Kenya, is about to open its first Ugandan store. This is Majid Al Futaim from Dubai. This announcement brings us a step closer towards realizing our long-term expansion plan for East Africa. Uganda is considered one of the fastest growing economies in Africa. Kenya, these guys don't want to accept the realities, so they keep on pushing. The reality is that the capping of interest rates is here to stay, said Jude Njomo, Member of Parliament. And this is why I've always said the Cabinet Secretary can say what he wants, but ultimately you've got to thread the needle in Parliament. Cargo handled by Mombasa Port up 6% in 11 months to May. That's a good sign. 6.3% more cargo Mombasa, gateway to East and Central Africa, processes imports, exports for Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, DR Congo, South Sudan, and Burundi. Cargo handled by the port was up 6.3% to 29.8 million tons in the 11 months ending May this year, compared to the previous period. The positive performance was mainly driven by increased handling of cargo for Uganda, DR Congo, and South Sudan. Container traffic increased by 13.1%. According to Business Daily, tax paid on home and land transfer stamp duty will drop 21.5% in the year end June. Fresh statistics show the Treasury expects revenue from stamp duty to dip to 9.51 billion from 12.13 billion recorded in the previous year. The fall in revenue from stamp duties are pointed to reduced deals in land and houses, reflecting the recent slump in activities in the real estate sector. Coca-Cola is putting up its Upper Hill complex on sale. Kenya shilling 102, a lot of people noticed that move yesterday. Nairobi all share up 5.73% year to date, trading on a P of 11.65. NSE 20 down 5.23% year to date. From poo to food, Kenyan toilet waste key for new animal feed. Victor Kiala's chickens have doubled the number of eggs they're laying, the reason human excrement. He is feeding them food from a Nairobi-based organics recycling company. Sanergy harvests waste from toilets it operates in a franchise network in Nairobi's slums and feeds it to fly larvae, which become high-quality animal feed. Kialo says his customers have noticed the difference in the past 3 weeks, yellower yolks and larger eggs. Before, we were getting like 5 trays of eggs per day, but now we're getting 10. It's kind of perfect for me. McDonald's, Cargill, among many large companies studying using insects for chicken feed to reduce reliance on soy protein in the $400 billion a year animal feed business. Feces from more than 2/3 of Nairobi's inhabitants go untreated because there are not enough toilets. Many others are not cleaned out regularly, Nairobi City Water and Sewerage Company says. It's a shame to leave you on that note, but leave you on that note I will. Thank you for stopping by.